Coach, you were getting on Marquise Gross-Killebrew about his holding and the one-on-ones, but what have you seen for them in these early
Great cover
games?
guy. And so he doesn't need to, so these are just some old habits I have to break because he's got great coverage. So there's no reason to cheat the drill. He's all over on the slant. He's in great shape. No reason to hook the backside because he's got great coverage. He's all over the out cut. There's nothing there. We don't need to grab jersey. So just trying to break some old habits. But there's no doubt we get straight on him. He's talented. He's long. He can run. He wants to be a great player. All the things you look for. Now my job is to get him to his potential, keep working with his positives and helping him break some old habits. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to other coaches. We all teach things differently. And so, we're going to do how I've done it.
You guys had a lot of big bodies, big veteran bodies at the defensive tackle position last year. There was a lot of turnover in the offseason. You've tried to replenish that position. How do you feel about the size and the depth that you have on the interior of the defensive line?
I feel great about it. Well, because we've changed our mentality up front. A year ago, there's a couple different ways, philosophies, let's just say, on how to play with people. What we did a year ago is we played more on the line of scrimmage, sit. You needed big bodies, bang. Where I'm wired, where this program has been built when I was first here in the 80s, was to get vertical. Never asked Rob Waldrop to sit on the line of scrimmage. Never asked Brewski to sit on the line of scrimmage. We want to get vertical and across the line of scrimmage. That's not to say we're not going to get big bodies. Just watch Isaiah and Chuba. When you get 340 pounds and 320 pounds going that way, that's a load. So we want to be Aaron Donald. We want to be Joey Bosa. We want to play the run on the way to the quarterback. So a little bit different, but I like where we're at. Really encouraged with the people that have come in here. Really encouraged that players that were here saw a great opportunity to play, and they took advantage of it in the offseason. Our strength staff did an incredible job, in my opinion, of developing these guys and building a culture of work, and it's just kind of transferring on the grass.
Who do you think has stepped into the Martell Irby role for this year's team?
We got a lot of guys that play with a great motor. Stokes is incredible. Best kept secret in college football right now. Plays with an incredible motor. As you see, he's made some plays. We got a new young man in here, Owen Goss. Plays with an incredible motor too, which would be similar to Irby's story, right? He came in here much like Irby. And the first thing I tell all incomers, the first thing you got to do is gain the respect of your locker room. Job one. And how you do that, first of all, is by being a great teammate and doing the things that we ask for. And we are built on a defense that is going to play hard. We're going to be physical. We're going to know our jobs, and we're going to be able to hunt plays. And Owen has done a great job with that. Incredible motor, shows some toughness. He's already gained the respect of his teammates by being physically and mentally. We're not tricky. There's four things philosophy-wise on defense. That's who we are. The four pillars. It's been that way for 40 years for me. And like I say, the game has changed over the years. Formations, tempos, offense, spread, type, minus splits, use the field. But what has been consistent for me over time is, how you choose to say it, do your job, know your assignments, execute the details of your assignments, play with great effort, be physical, and then make plays.
And then Tay was anointed starter at Mike linebacker. What do you think, or what did he do to show you guys that he's capable of being the starter?
Well, he played last year, as a true freshman. I would say this, some positions there's still a lot of evaluation going on, okay? So our starting linebacker is Mono right now, okay? And then let's see where we go. Our starting nickel is Stooks. Then we'll figure out where we can go, all right? It's very competitive still yet to this moment. So he trots out there first, but there's still other moving pieces, and that's still wide open.
Kind of going off of that with Genesis Smith and Tay Brown, just their development from year 1 to year 2. I know we're not quite to year 2, but what have you seen out of them that makes them players that you guys can really potentially rely upon?
Yeah, so first and foremost with both of them, and just with a common thread for me with all the great players that I have coached over, I'm talking about great players. They're extremely competitive. Let's go with Chris McAllister, I can run through Michael Huff, Michael Griffin, Kenny Vaccaro, Earl Thomas, Justin Reed. The common thread with all of those guys is they're very competitive, and that's how they're wired right now. So that's a great starting point. Because if you're competitive, you're working to doing things, all the detail things. That means lifting in the off season. That means getting extra time in the classroom, and they got physical skills. So both of them have showed that. Genesis, I think, has got a lot of upside. Right now, you would say who's your starting secondary? I could say Genesis Smith is one of our starting defensive backs. Is he trotting out first? No, because there's only so many guys, because he's lined up in a position with Stooks, Maldonado, and Dalton. But he's in that, so I got 4 starting safeties right now. And so how I deal with who plays, I don't want to be tied into a depth chart. Next player plays. If you notice the Oklahoma game, we had an injury outside, okay? We tried what I thought was the next guy on the depth chart. That wasn't working out. Stoops, get outside and go play us corner, because so it's the best player. And part of being the best player in the depth chart is, can you learn more than one position, which will help you.
Duane, you talk about your defensive line and wanting to get vertical, and we've been so coached into the mindset that gap integrity for linemen is so important. So what does that mean in your system? Does that have a high meaning, gap integrity, for the linemen in your system, or does it not even matter the way you want to play?
Sure, we still have it. We're still gapped out. So as we're working to get vertical, we're still going through a gap. We got some other things that go along with it, but we still have gap integrity. Yeah. So we're still gapping on how we need to be gapped out. We're just not going to play from the line of scrimmage.
I think you said the other day that there are 8 defensive back positions. Is that the right number? And if so, what are they?
So in a system that I've been involved with, so we had base back in the day. We don't play base. What base would be 4 defensive backs with 2 inside backers, and in essence, 2 outside linebackers, okay? Then you have nickel, where you got 5 DBs, and nickel will come in for the 5th DB, and your strong side outside linebacker come. Then you got dime. That's when another DB will come in for the will linebacker position, okay? And then what we used to have is quarter. Well, now we take the other linebacker out, and somewhere in there we would take a D lineman out too. And then when we go to 8 DBs, we'll have 8 DBs on the field and then 3 others. That was back in the day when we used to play BYU. When I was at Hawaii, I was there when McMahon was there, Steve Young was there, and Robbie Bosco. And they just threw it every snap, So why have all these big people on? And that was our rival game. That was great games. Those were a lot of fun, man. So right now, we have the ability, we haven't gone to 8, but we'll have the ability to play 5, 6, and 7.
What does it mean to have guys like Gunnar?
And just to further answer that, so when you start ranking your players, okay, 1 through 22, so that's where I'm at. Let's get the 11 best guys on the field, okay? And so if that means we have more defensive backs, if we were ranked, we have injuries here and there, well, 6 DBs would be in your top 11. Let's get them on the grass. Our job is to coach them. That's why they call you coach, okay? If 7 of them are in your top 11, why have guys sitting on the sidelines if they can work to be in that position, okay, depending on the offenses that are running? I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to finish that thought.
What does it mean to have guys like Gunnar, Manu, Stoops back for this season to bring that level of maturity and experience? What does it mean for them to set that example?
It's incredible. I tell you, with what we did last year with some of our coverage system, it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff back there that's going on. these guys were able to handle the system. In 1 year, I was able to get in some things that I couldn't do at Stanford. Took me 2 years to get some of that stuff in. You know, Texas, same thing, 2, maybe 3 years. But the IQs of those positions, football IQ, you know, I say it all the time. You could give a young man a playbook, put him in a room, and he would nail the test. You know, he'd get 100% just drawing up everything. You give another young man that book, he wouldn't get any of them dang things right. Now you put 22 other moving pieces on there. The guy that was able to memorize that thing, I mean, couldn't see the game. The other guy could naturally just feel the game, you know. The IQs of your inside pieces, Gunner, Dalton, Stooks, and Manu, incredible IQ. So we were able to do so much more. And our corners really started coming along later in the season where we started just, hey, get in here, we're going to meet together now. You know, because I've never been in a place where there's a corners coach, a safeties coach, you know. This isn't to sound arrogant by no means, but I just believe the secondary needs to be connected. They need to hear one voice. It would be, my example would be for an offensive line coach. Okay, you go tackles, you go meet in that room. Okay, you guards, you go meet with the guard coach over here. And centers, you go with the center coach, like some people do the nickel coach. You go meet in that room. They need to be connected, man, you know? And that's how we are, because there's a lot of pre-snap communication. There's a lot of post-snap communication in our system. So you got to be, the great defenses I've been around are connected, you know, that talk. And so we got pre-snap, we'll say something, got you, post-snap. Because maybe that communication, that one player wasn't thinking about it. Good reminder. That's how you build a culture in a defense, that you're connected. And you run and you have a lot of fun because we're all on the same page. That's what we're building.
Last question, Jeff. What do you make of the Polynesian culture here at U of A, and how do you compare it to when you and Tommy were here?
I tell you, it's beautiful. You know, it's where we were. It really is about family. And I know everybody says that, but what you're going to know about the Polynesian culture is loyalty, together, family, and toughness. You know, and there's no doubt. I'm sure that's part of many cultures, but that's who we are, and it just rubs off on everybody. Humble, you know, respectful. You hear many of them. It's Mr., Mrs., auntie, uncle. And so it's just, it's beautiful. And I think that's what really helped us in this off season in keeping many of our players here, because in some circles we couldn't have matched the money that was out there. But what we can match is that true sense of family. Everybody says it, right? Oh, we're a family. Really, are you? You know, is the coach saying it, or are the players feeling it? Because that's still the key. And I think you'll feel that with our guys, and they play like that. And that was the guts of the whole Desert Swarm. It wasn't some fancy-dancy defense and all. It was just a group of guys that were blue-collar, that loved each other, and they played hard on all sides of the ball. And you see the power of the touch, you know, bang, great job, great job, great job. The power of the lift, something negative happens. Hey, we'll be all right, let's go, you know. There's none of that. You know, we're in this thing together. Beautiful to be part of, and the players are the ones that established it. Wonderful.
All right, that's our time. Thanks, Duane.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.